You have one close friend you would do anything for. So did your ancestor, 50,000 years ago. And that friendship was the only reason either of you survived. Strip away everything modern, the phones, the cities, the grocery stores, and ask yourself what actually kept a human alive 200,000 years ago. It was not a weapon. It was not even fire. It was another person who knew your name. Ancient humans lived in bands of roughly 20 to 50 individuals. That number is not random. It is the ceiling of how many people a human brain can genuinely track, their habits, their moods, their loyalties. Anthropologists call this the cognitive limit of real relationship, and it shaped us at a biological level. Your brain today still runs on the same social hardware. Inside that band, friendship was not a luxury. If you twisted your ankle 3 days from camp, you needed someone who would slow down for you. If a lion took your shelter, you needed someone who would share theirs without calculating the debt. The people who formed those bonds survived. The people who did not vanished from the gene pool quietly and completely. Here is what makes this remarkable. Researchers who study hunter-gatherer communities still existing today consistently find that the strongest predictor of survival during a food shortage is not physical strength, it is the size of your reciprocal network, the number of people who owe you a meal because you once gave them one. Friendship was a savings account that paid out in calories and protection. Even the way ancient humans groomed each other was strategic. Primates spent enormous time picking through each other's fur, not purely for hygiene, but to build social trust. Early humans carried that behavior forward. Sitting together, touching, sharing food, every small gesture was depositing into a relationship that might save your life before the season ended. There is something almost uncomfortable about realizing that your warmest, most genuine feelings toward another person have a cold survival logic underneath them. But that does not cheapen friendship. If anything, it makes the feeling more ancient, more earned, more real than any modern explanation gives it credit for. Not everyone in a band of 50 became a close friend. Ancient humans were remarkably selective, and the mechanisms they used to choose trustworthy companions are still running inside you right now, mostly without your permission. Consistency was the first filter. If someone showed up when they said they would, shared when food was scarce, and told the same story twice in a row without the details shifting, they were safe to invest in. Ancient humans had no contracts, no courts, no written reputation systems. Memory was the only ledger. A person who behaved the same way whether or not they were being watched was someone worth risking your life alongside. The second filter was generosity under pressure. It is easy to share when you have surplus. Ancient humans watched what people did when resources were genuinely tight. A hunter who gave away a meaningful portion of a kill when his own children were hungry was signaling something powerful, that his commitment to the group exceeded his personal calculation. That person became deeply trusted. That person got protected in return. The third filter was laughter. This one surprises people. Shared laughter, the spontaneous, uncontrollable kind, is one of the most honest signals two humans can exchange. You cannot convincingly fake a genuine laugh for long. Communities that archaeologists and anthropologists have studied closely show that humor, even crude, physical, repetitive humor, was a constant feature of daily life. The people you laughed with were the people you trusted most completely. And ancient humans also read the body. Long before language was complex enough to deceive, humans were fluent in posture, in the direction of a gaze, in the speed of someone's breathing. A person who turned their body toward you when speaking, who held eye contact without aggression, who mirrored your movements unconsciously. Your nervous system registered all of it as safe. None of this required a single word. The most fascinating detail is this: the friendships that formed through these filters were not casually broken. Archaeological evidence suggests ancient humans traveled enormous distances to reunite with specific individuals from other bands. Friendship crossed geography, it crossed seasons. It was treated as one of the most valuable things a person could carry. For most of human existence, friendship operated inside that small band. You knew everyone who mattered. The circle was tight, warm, and comprehensible. Then, roughly 10,000 years ago, agriculture arrived, and friendship began its long, strange transformation into something we still have not fully solved. When humans started farming, the band stopped moving. Settlements grew. 50 people became 500, then 5,000. Suddenly, you were surrounded by strangers every single day, and your ancient social hardware was not built for that. The brain that evolved to track 50 relationships was now expected to navigate thousands of faces, none of which carried the long shared history that made trust feel automatic. What happened next is both logical and a little sad. Friendship became segmented. You had your family, your immediate neighbors, the people in your trade or craft. Walls went up, literal walls around houses and psychological ones around trust. Generosity, which had once flowed fairly freely inside a small band, became transactional. Favors were counted, debts were remembered differently, and yet the hunger for deep friendship never left. Ancient written records from Mesopotamia and Egypt, some of the earliest texts humans ever produced, contain letters between friends expressing missing each other, worrying about each other, celebrating each other's children. 3,000 years ago, a scribe in Babylon pressed a clay tablet to send to someone he genuinely loved and missed. The technology was new. The feeling was 50,000 years old. What this tells us is that the agricultural shift changed the conditions of friendship without changing the need for it. We adapted the form but could not shake the function. Even today, in cities of millions, most people report that their core inner circle, the people they would truly sacrifice for, sits somewhere between 3 and 5 individuals, almost identical to what it was on the savannah. The structure of ancient friendship was not a primitive version of what we have now. It was the original version. Everything since has been an attempt, sometimes successful and sometimes not, to recreate what those first bands already had naturally. People who knew you completely, showed up without being asked, and stayed. Friendship did not evolve as a feeling, it evolved as a survival system, and somewhere inside it, it still is one. If this made you think of someone you should probably reach out to, maybe do that. Subscribe for more stories about the humans we used to be.